me start my session with one question. How often, when you were a child, were you asked or were you told this sentence? Just follow the rules. Either in school, at home, or in society, rules was presented as the answer to everything. Because rules prevent chaos and rules create safety. And that's true. Now, law is a set of rules written by people in power so that we could all live together happily. Law tells us what we can do and what we cannot do. For example, we all have the rights to speak our opinions, but the law limits us by not making anyone feel down by our words. That is the main thing of law. Now, but when I'm studying this, I found one simple problem. Law is written in books. Meanwhile, life is lived by people. Between those two, I have found a gap called fairness. Okay, moving on. Has any of you guys seen this statue before? Either in the books you watch or the series you watched. Now, this is Justicia, or also known as the Lady of Justice. She is the icon of law. She wears 4 accessories that helps people understand what the law is. First, she wears a toga, which represents the responsibility that the law has. Next, the scales in her hand weighs truth and evidence. Next, her double-edged sword represents the firm authority that the law has to make choices. And lastly, and what I think is the most important, is her blindfold, which represents that in the eye of law, everyone is seen as the same, no matter how much money or power they got. So, according to Justicia, the law should be good, consistent, and equal. But that is not always the case. Black Lives Matter is a movement popular in America about 5 years ago. But before it went viral, there is a similar movement. In 1990, under apartheid, law was made to separate people based on race. Black South Africans were denied basic rights, such as where they could live, where they could study, and where they could work, simply just because of their skin color. Now, everything followed the rule and everything was legal. But was it fair? No, it was not fair. That's why later on, apartheid was abolished. Not because the law fixed itself, but people around the world sees that this is unfair and they challenged it again and again and again. Now, do any of you guys know this judge? This is Judge Frank Caprio. He is known for being the nicest judge in United States of America. For those of you guys who don't know, you may see him from this particular video, where he dismissed a speeding ticket for a 96-year-old man. He asked why were the men speeding? Because for an old man, it was unlikely or unheard of for them to be speeding. The man explained that he was speeding to take his cancer-stricken son to take his blood test. Just imagine, he is 96 years old and still taking care of his son. Judge Caprio dismissed the ticket, not because he ignored the law, but he heard the story behind it. Now, from these 2 stories, we know that justice always comes first, and then the law followed later on. In every society, in every community, in every school, I have found three types of people. One, who knows something is wrong and speak up about it. Two, who knows something is wrong and choose to stay silent because they're scared of judgment or consequences. Lastly, people who doesn't know anything at all because no one has ever said anything. Now, who we choose to be in this moment matters. So, if you have to put it, where are you? Because this, because who we choose to be in that moment will shape our environment. When students, people feel heard, when they feel protected, when they know their voices matters, they stop being the second group and start being the part of the change. But when these voices are ignored and people doesn't feel protected anymore, or where unfairness is dismissed as normal, people don't just stay quiet. They begin to feel invisible. And when people feel invisible, they stop believing that the system was ever meant for them. Now, today, as Gen Z, as myself, and most of you guys here, when we question system, we were often called too emotional, too sensitive, or too young to talk about such important matters. But for me, emotion is not a weakness. Emotion is awareness. It's how we recognize injustice before it even has a name. So, now, let's take a step back. We all now agree that law and rule matters, right? But justice is what gives them their meaning. And justice starts with awareness. Noticing who's left out, asking why instead of assuming, and listening before judging. Now, and this isn't about history anymore. Sure, the history will have something for us now, but it will all in the past. So now it's about us in classrooms and in hallways. We are taught to aim for perfection, to meet the standards, to follow the rules, to don't cause troubles. But justice asks us to go beyond it because empathy, emotion, and humanity matters more. So, the real question isn't should we follow or break the law? The real question is when is it the right to obey and when is it the right to challenge? Because when something feels unfair, we speak up because youth voices matters. What we say today may not shapes the law we have, but it will definitely shapes the future. So, everyone, the next time you were told to follow a rule without any question, ask yourself, is this rule fair? Who does it protect? And if justice is missing, what role will I choose to play? Thank you, everyone.